Good morning. My name's Scott Jones. I am the Vice President of Membership for the Alamo Area Council. And I just wanted to thank you today for joining us for this membership growth and marketing training. Membership is extremely important to our council and to our growth of our organization. And we understand that membership starts at the unit level. So by being here today, you're taking part in something that will continue to grow scouting across our council and across our nation, and we really appreciate it. I also want to say thank you. Thank you for what you're doing for our scouts, for our youth. You're making an impact on our community, and we really appreciate it. So I hope you enjoyed today's training. As always, we're constantly looking to improve this training. So as you go through this training, if you have any questions or areas that we could improve, please contact us and let us know. Because we want to make this the best experience possible. Again, thank you for being with us today, and we hope you enjoy the training. Growth training is what works for one unit may not necessarily work for another unit. We are all in different parts of town. Our units are in different situations. There is no one cookie cutter method to get membership. It has to be very customizable. It has to be very tailored. Our role is to give you the tools to help with that customization and that tailorization. Some units have very easy access to schools. Some do not. And for those units that do not have easy access to schools, what alternatives are we have out there? But at the end of the day, from a membership perspective, one thing I've learned, I've been the membership chair for a little over a year now, that membership happens at the unit level. AJ, Lewis, myself, we can go out and sign up 3,000 kids at an event. You want to sign in event, or at a fair downtown. But if we don't have units that are prepared and ready to accept those youth or a place to vector them, we're spinning our wheels. Because it's really, membership happens at the unit level. It is the unit level. It's really the bread and butter. So that's why again, that emphasis of making sure you have the tools and support you need to succeed as a unit.
All right, well, cool. All right, everybody, thanks for coming out today. We're going to go ahead and get started with our presentation. A quick show of hands, who's been to one of our workshops before?
Okay. I have. Great. Right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for returning in the first place. And then everybody brand new, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today in the first place.
Yeah.
The whole point of these workshops is not to do that same old training that's been done over and over again. The purpose of these workshops is to provide you with some value add opportunities for you guys to be able to take with you into the field, into your recruiting events, and hopefully even beyond that, because a lot of times when we're doing sales training and things of that nature, those are applicable to other aspects of our lives as well. So welcome everybody. And with that, Lewis, you want to go ahead and take it from there?
Sure. So let's talk about number one. Why recruiting? Right? Why are we here today? Does anybody have an answer to that? Why recruit?
Grow our packs.
Grow your packs, grow your units. Okay, it's a great one. What else?
Maintain the unit.
Maintain?
Kids are aging out constantly.
Kids are aging out constantly, yeah. Any other ideas? I mean, you guys hit the nail on the head, right? If your unit is not recruiting, your unit's dying, right? You may say, hey, we have 30 kids in our troop, our crew, our pack, whatever we have. I think we're good. Well, if you don't have a good recruitment season, those 30 kids are going to turn down at 25 to 20. And then it's going to turn down to 15 and 10. And all of a sudden, you're going to say, oh, man, I remember when our unit used to be really big. We used to do a lot of stuff. And now here we are with 5 kids. What happened? Well, recruitment is the answer to that, right? Even if you think, hey, we are a good level, adding 1, 2, 5, 10 kids to that pool you have is constantly going to bring new blood in. And then number 2, it's going to bring new leadership into your unit as well. Who here needs more leaders in their unit? Yeah, everybody, right? Yeah. And the number one way to find new leaders is to recruit new kids and bring their brand new parents in and recruit those brand new parents along as well, too, right? So we want to make sure that your unit is strong, and we start that by doing recruitments.
So one of the things about the first portion of this part of our presentation is really about working the tables. It's about bringing in the tables. We've set up a example table in the back for you guys to take a look at. So there's different ways you can set things up. There's all different ways you can do this, but it's the making sure that you are getting a contact. This is the most important part of this aspect of it, because we've been learning is it's getting harder and harder to do the traditional recruiting events where you go and you get 20 people that show up, 15, 16 scouts are coming into your new pack at that particular point. Man, it's a one and done fall type of thing. You're picking up one or two different things. So you're going to have to create basically a database of leads. Let's just call it what it is. We're trying to create leads for ourselves and our units so that we can continually invite them to do the fun things that they need to do. Once they see what scouting is all about, it's a no-brainer at that point. When it was $25 just to join, it was a no-brainer right there on the spot. But nowadays, hey, you know what? You need to convince me that it's a no-brainer. And that's why we've got to be in constant communication with them. So that's what this first section is about. And so,
Yep. So we're talking about working a table. You can work a table at a couple of different events. An easy one coming up for everybody I know in this room is Meet the Teacher Night or open houses starting next week or the week after next, right? We all have those coming up. Does your unit have a table or a booth at any of those things? And this is not just for Cub Scout packs. Does your Scouts BSA troop or your venture crew have a table at your middle school or high school where you guys in your neighborhood? If you don't, right now is the perfect time to get in there and ask to get a table. Ask for a high traffic placement, right? Can we be right next to the sign-in sheet? Can we be right next to the cafeteria door on the way into the main event?
And to that, I was as a financial planner, I ended up having tables in a very highly competitive environment. And so I would always show up early. And I said to myself, you know what, one of these days, somebody's going to realize I'm always up there early and they're going to get there earlier than I am. And I got to figure out what am I going to do to counteract that, because it was in a very, very dark environment. So you're off in the dark or whatnot. I said, well, you know what? I'm going to buy some of those little police, little red cherry things, and some bunch of lights and everything else. So when I go in the back, I'm going to plug into the wall over there and I'm going to create just a disco environment for myself in that corner. And then I couldn't wait for it to happen. I was like, all right, I'm ready for this. But the point is that be prepared for that opportunity. Hey, maybe you're not going to get that. So what is it you're going to do to attract people to your table?
Sorry to interrupt. Nope, that's okay. Mm-hmm. And then if you're saying to yourself, hey, Lewis, hey, AJ, we can't get into our schools. Our school district's completely closed off. We can't do it for whatever reason. We'll talk about some relationship building later, but what is your charter organization? Where do you guys meet? Are you able to set up a table after the Sunday services if you guys meet at a church? Are there any community events coming up in your area that you can set up a table? AJ and I were just at a back to school event at the food bank last weekend with KLRN, and there were 2,000 people there, and we got 150 names just working that table, right? And those prospects, we're just going to send out and work them prospects for all of your units, for everybody there. But what is specifically something you guys can do in your neighborhood that you can focus for your unit?
Okay. And to what I was saying before is that I needed electricity for that particular situation. I know a lot of Scouts BSA. There's a lot of cool stuff that's on that back table that is really easy to attract maybe a Cub Scout aged kids. But let's face it, Scouts BSA, venture crews, and sea ships, they're going to want the electronic version of what's going on here. You can bring a TV, you can set up some things. We'll be talking more about that. But if you need that, make sure you've got electricity set up for yourself. Okay. Table setup. And that's kind of what we're getting on to talking about over here is you got to make sure that it's eye-catching in the first place. So don't just set a couple of flyers out on a table. Make sure that you have some stuff. And all the packs out here, I know that you've got somewhere along the line. And what I've done is I've robbed my son's little memory box is what I've done, okay? Because he's got tons of little Pinewood Derby cars. I even found an antler out here at the park. It was just a small little antler, and I throw that on the table, and I can't tell you how many kids love to pick that up. Ooh, yep, we found that when we were just out hiking one of these days. I even bought a little rubber snake, and the kids just love that. Oh, look, it's biting me and all this kind of stuff. They're having fun at my table, and that's something that the parents get to see. Now, that's on the Cub Scout side of the house. Once again, if you have in the Scouts BSA side of the house, when you set up your table, have that table to where, okay, I need a TV. So nowadays TVs, you can put a TV under your arm. They're so light and easy to carry around. And there's usually, in most cases, there's somebody that has an extra one sitting at their house that they can lend to you if you don't already have one. But get yourself a little Fire Stick and then have on your phone your wireless hotspot, and you are good to go right there on the spot to do whatever you do. The advanced work on that is you can loop in a lot of different videos on things like Seabase. and Philmont, and we even have a great video of our zip line out at Bear Creek. If you just loop those together into a little group, and then you can just have that video running in the background. And I guarantee I've done presentations at high schools and middle schools, and you got kids that are coming in and taking a look at that. That's cool. I want to do that. Yes, sir.
Is that something that council can just set up a loop file and send out a link that you can use?
We'll look to see if we can do that. The question is that can the council end up setting that up? So I will definitely look into that. Would you mind making a note on that as well, so that we can see if we can provide that for you, make it easy for you? Excellent.
Yeah,
okay.
but in the interim, YouTube is a great resource, right? So if we don't come up with that within the next couple of weeks, just go to YouTube, type in Philmont, type in Seabase, whatever it is, and just look at their promotional videos, and then just have that on loop on your TV screen.
And to the fact that since we're talking about YouTube, what we're doing is we're creating a lot more content for YouTube. I know that for myself, that anytime I want to do something, I had to replace a door in my house the other day. First place I went to, University of YouTube, figure out how to do that. About 10 minutes video, and then I was an expert on how to replace it. And if you believe that, I got something else to tell you later. But the point is that there's a lot of great information that I gathered from that video, and so what we want to do is make this a lot more accessible to people that are out there. You guys are joining us. This is critical that you're here, because we can do that back and forth and really have that interaction and get some great feedback from you guys. But there's sometimes people can't make it, so they want to go straight to YouTube. So we'll be taking that. And so if you're not already a member of our YouTube page, please get in there and subscribe so that you can get these additional educational content as we put it up. So with that, yeah. Eye-catching photos. I mean, just to kind of go through this, because I've taken a lot of time already, but there's a lot of things that you already have in your possession that you can absolutely just decorate the heck out of that table. So make sure it's an eye-catching one is the bottom line. So,
Okay, yeah. Hey, table staffing. Who's going to work your table? This is a great thing. We're asking everyone, saying, hey, go put up a table at your meet the teacher night, at your open house, whatever it is. Your school could be 200 kids. Your school could be 1,500 kids, right? There could be a lot of families coming through that front door. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you that one person working the table is not enough. You need at least two people. And I said the story, me and AJ worked last weekend, and there were 2,000 families there. And we were both, he would start a conversation, somebody else would walk up, I'd start the conversation. We hand them a clipboard, I'd be over here handing people clipboards. We're talking all day long. So make sure you have at least two people, always friendly, and it could be youth and adults, right? We have our Scouts BSA and our older youth programs venturing. Use those kids. Hey, the best salesmen for other kids are your Scouts, okay? They are going to sell your program better than anybody can. I promise you that. Do you have a short script? If you're unsure of what to say, put together a short script. And are you the right person to work the table? That's a question that we have to ask ourselves. Are you comfortable talking with 200, 300, 1,000 people, right? And just going and just saying, hey, come on over. Let's come talk about Scouts really quick, right? If you're not that person, who is that person in your unit? If it doesn't have to be a leader, it could just be a parent who can help you sell your program.
Mm-hmm. And I want to go back to this, the greeting aspect of it, because when Lewis and I were swamped, and we were swamped a lot, there was just a ton of people around there's other tables around. It was really kind of a chaotic environment. And I've seen Meet the Teacher nights get that particular way. They're coming in, they want to see their teacher. I want to stop here, but I want to get the information, and I want to get on with my evening, right? So what Lewis and I did, we created some layers where Lewis was either one of us. We switched from time to time, but Lewis was behind the table, for instance, and I was out in front, and I would grab people. And sometimes these people are about to walk by me to another table, and I'll be aggressive enough to say, hey, have you heard about our scouting program here? We got a great scouting program. We'd love to give you some information on it. And if you can just give me just a couple of minutes of information here, we'll reach out to you and get you invited when you got more time. And they appreciate the fact that that you know that they're in a hurry, and they're willing to give you 1 or 2 minutes of their evening just to give you their information. Again, have multiple clipboards if that's going to be the case, because sometimes I can hand out a clipboard and then talk to this person when they're filling out theirs, so I can work actually 2 different families at the same time while he's working the third one, or the third or fourth one at the table.
And being engaging is a really strong portion of that. What do we teach our Scouts when we sell popcorn? Stand in front of the table, go talk to people, reach them, bring them to your table, right? Mm-hmm. We need to be doing the exact same thing when we're selling our Scout units to those families. Mm-hmm. It's really easy to stand behind the table and to say, nobody came by, no one's interested. Well, what do we do to help sell that program, right? Mm-hmm. In the past, the Scouts BSA brand, people saw those tan shirts, those blue shirts, and said, "Oh yeah, I'm ready to join Cub Scouts. I'm ready to join Scouts." Right now, we're probably not where we're at like that anymore, right? So we need to get out there and sell our program to these families.
So that brings up the good point is that whoever is manning your tables, do they have the personality? Is this within their wheelhouse to do it? There is some people that are just, that would be just, the worst thing you could do to them is to make them talk to a whole bunch of people. And if they do that, they're going to be sitting behind there waiting for people to come up and just put their name on the piece of paper. It's not going to work as great. So let's not put that person in that position. Let's find that person that loves to get out there and loves to talk about scouting and has the right personality for it. I'm seeing some people saying, yeah, we got some people here for that. The point is that you definitely want to have the right people at the table. So, okay. Going into talking about, Lewis and I were talking, hey, so you got to have that great script to that end. You got to know what you're about to say. You got to be able to say it fast. Man, Lewis was sitting there talking. Yes, go ahead and give him your speech. When the people
Sure.
walking by, you were doing what?
Yeah. Hey guys, anybody interested in Cub Scouts? Come on up, or Scouts or whatever, right? They come to the table. Hey, my name is Lewis. I'm with the Scouts. Hey, do you guys know anything about scouting? We do a lot of fun stuff in Scouts. We go camping. We go fishing. We launch rockets. We race cars. We shoot bows and arrows. We shoot BB guns. If you're older, we go camping. We go hiking. We go kayaking. We go canoeing. We go whitewater rafting. But at its basis, scouting, we are a leadership organization and a character building organization. We get kids outside having fun.
Man,
at the same time,
filling that out.
and at the same time,
quick,
we're teaching them some life skills along the way.
Mm-hmm.
Can I get you guys more information? That's it.
By the way, she's already started to fill out my information, so I do all my bed back, right? but the point is that it was very, very quick right there. And so Liz and I were talking, said, get your elevator speech, and then I was doing a little research in there, and there's a difference between an elevator speech and basically what you're doing your short script speech over here. So an elevator speech is going to be a little bit more calm, a little bit more settled down, and a little bit more on the polished side of the house. Whereas you'll notice what Lewis was doing, man, it was short, it was concise, it was right there. It was designed to get them engaged and get them bringing them in. 15 to 30 seconds, because if you're talking 30 to 60 seconds to each person and there's 200 people that are showing up at your table, you're not going to get to them all. You need to sit there and in 15 seconds get this guy interested and filling out something while I go over here and talk to this guy. And that's the direction you want to go on that. It's casual versus polished type of thing. So you want to just, it's that way.
Yeah, and I was going to say, and we should make sure the point everyone understands is when you're working these tabled events, be the teacher night, a community event, the point is to gather prospect names, right? Get contact information. You're not selling your unit necessarily yet. That'll come at your first orientation meeting, whatever it is, right? When's your next meeting going to be? When's your parent orientation going to be? When's your back to the pack, back to the troop event? That's where you'll sell them. Right now, all we're trying to do is get 100 names on a sheet of paper, so that way I can call and text and email 100 names and get 50 to 60 people at that event, and then sign up 50 to 60 people for my pack or my troop, right?
And go ahead.
So we did an event at the middle school because we're a Boy Scout troop, and we figured that's our sweet spot.
Yeah.
And the kids are there without their parents, and so first of all, the handwriting is a problem, which I talked about.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
also, you end up with this list of names that you may or may not be able to read, but you don't know if they're adults or children. And then you're in this position of emailing them. And I felt really uncomfortable with that.
There's a couple ways. Remember your 2 deep leadership, okay?
Of course, yeah.
So that helps a bunch, okay?
Then you don't know who you're addressing. Are you addressing a grown-up or a child?
And then that's where you can ask the question up front in that body of email. And it can actually, if you proceed that with going in, and when you're talking to somebody and it's only the youth, ask for the mother's email. Specifically, I need your mother's contact information. I don't necessarily need you. I need to contact her. Can you give me that? And yes, you will lose a few opportunities in that because they'll say, no, I don't know if she wants me to give it out, or they'll end up calling a lot of times. Can I give you your email out? I want, and so at least that way it's a little bit more engaging, a little bit more positive. Because if you send a kid that email anyway, it may or may not get read anyway. So I think you're not, you're 50-50 or less on that as to whether you're going to actually create a good lead out of it in the first place. And let me answer one other thing that she was talking about, and then we'll come to you. So then you also mentioned that the handwriting was an issue, and that's been a problem with us. Out of the 120 names that we picked out, we may get 90 names out of it that we're going to be able to read, actually get emails out to.
And these are adults.
Yeah, so absolutely. So those are the adults. So we're going to be working on trying to get some tablets. And I've seen some people that have. In fact, I was working with a unit that has a very good Jot form that's already set up that they can collect their own leads. And if you have some tablets make sure they're the old ones, not your brand new one that you just fell in love with. But if you've got an old one that's sitting around, then you can just wipe off everything, keep it nice and clean, maybe buy a little protector for it, and then you can hand out tablets. We've noticed that if you create a QR code, hand out a QR code to them, they will walk off and that QR code never gets operated on. So
have them do that QR code at front table.
So yes.
We employed during the Great Texas Freedom Fest, we had QR codes all over our table. We asked them to pull out their phone and take a picture right there, and we had a great deal of success with that. So
to reiterate what he said is that it's definitely very important that if you are using those QR codes that are produced by you guys, that they are filling it out right in front of you so that you can see, they got it done, and that we've actually captured their information. So absolutely. That was. It looked like that was what we covered. So excellent. Go ahead.
Yep. And then one of the handouts we gave you guys today is 10 tips on how to do an elevator speech. If you don't know what an elevator speech is kind of a sales technique. You basically have from one floor, you get an elevator from one floor to the next floor to sell yourself to somebody, right? And that's kind of what we're doing. We're selling our units to families. So if you guys need some help, refer back to our sheet. Here's some useful tips for you guys to go through.
And this is just the thumbnail of it right there. That's the deep dive. So if you are, like I said, just practice it a couple times. And hopefully this evening, while some people are picking up their adventure boxes, we're going to stick around and have some little workshop on creating your own work speech. Let you practice it back at us. Let us get some feedback if you would like to, and we can move forward with helping you guys making sure it's polished as well. Yes, sir.
I don't know.
So, excellent. Okay. So what you're saying basically is that you're using a lot of creativity. You're creating. You said you're creating little badges.
Like something that says "Ask me about scouting."
Ask me about scouting.
His help me badge.
Help me badge. Ask me about scouting. And you were sending out your scouts, or were you sending out, or just giving them out?
Like we would have people at the table, but we would also have people engaging with the crowd as well.
Great. So being creative like that, having where you're putting a badge, ask me about scouting, and just getting that word out there, but getting very visible is extremely important on that, and making sure that you're actually working the room itself, not just working your table. And there's been times I've gone to a meet the teacher night where everybody was milling around kind of in the middle, and a lot of them went up and sat up on the stage, and they really weren't visiting any of the tables for that matter. And so I ended up, our Cub Master was sitting there, and I was like, okay, I can tell this night is going to be a dud if we don't do something about it. So I grabbed that clipboard, went up to the stage, and went to every single parent and said, here's this, a little bit of information. Love to get your information. And we ended up collecting about 40 names by the end of the night. So point is that sometimes you're going to have to adjust on the fly and be creative about what you're doing. So
we got some hands back here.
We have another. Yes, ma'am. Hang on, because we're recording this, and I would love to hear what you have to say.
I had a strategy that worked really well for us last year. We had, for the Meet the Teacher night, we had Cubs and we had older scouts go to the elementary schools. We had the older scouts stand by the table, and then we sent the younger Cubs out into the room, passing out our flyers, getting them to come to the table. So then parents could see the young Cub Scouts like, oh, look at how cute. This is what my child can look like. And then when they come to the table, they see the older youth, and they see them wearing the uniform, and they're like, oh, and this is what my child will grow to become. And so then that way the older scouts can talk to the parents, but we get the Cubs to go out into the crowd with the flyers. And you guys call it a join night. Well, my strategy was to say, we're having an open house party. You use the word party. Hey, did you get an invitation to the party? And they're like, no, what party? Oh, here's my invitation. Here's the invitation to the party. And it gets them engaged. Why don't you go ahead and give me your info? We're going to shoot you out text messaging to remind you about the party. And they were like, oh, sure, I'll sign. And then they give you the info. So we call it, instead of a join night, we called it an open house party. Did you get the invitation to the party? And then if it was a young female, a girl, My little catch thing was girls just want to have fun. And I said, scouting's not just for boys anymore. You know that? Girls, we get to have fun too. And the parents are like, really? And then that's how you get the female youth like engaged, like, oh, we could we could join, we could do BB guns, we could do camping. And that's how we got the girls to sign up as well.
Awesome. And that's an extremely important part where you're basically making it fun. This is a fun organization. It's a fun activities that they're doing, and we have to convey that. And words matter is what you're saying. Is by calling it a party versus calling it a recruiting. Who wants to be recruited, or join? Right? I want to go to a party. Yeah, that sounds great.
And then we had another.
I was kind of jumping on the like, what do we have our scouts doing at that same time? But I like the idea with the younger scouts going around. But is there like a pitch we can try and give our scouts to kind of help to talk to other kids?
Okay, so is there a pitch that we can use to have kids engaging kids? I'm sorry. Really, when they're developing their own presentation, it's their experiences that they have to share. So that goes back to having a great program. So it's a deeper thing than that. But have them, and the way you can coach your scouts is say, what was your favorite thing? What is the most favorite thing that you've done so far in scouting? And and talk to them about this in the context of a recruiting setting. So if they sit there and say, "Oh, my favorite part was summer camp. Why was it fun?" Well, I got to shoot BB guns, I got to archery, and then there's this other kid that threw up and it was funny or whatever, right? Whatever it is that they had, that they latched on to, that was the fun aspect of what their experiences are. Then you say, okay, take maybe 5 seconds of that, and then go tell everybody else that you know about that. And then say, I want you to come to our party that we're going to be coming to, because I want you to be able to join that fun.
Yeah, and I think, Jen, didn't your daughter have a pretty good successful doing that at a recruitment event back in December?
She was supposed to run the arts and crafts station, and I was supposed to be the one talking to the parents. And quickly, I did the bead craft. And she was showing off all of her merit badges to little kids. When you grow up, you can get this one. This one's the chess one, and this one's the coin collecting one. And she got more names than I did. It was the topic of many dinner conversations.
Okay. That is amazing. Okay, so.
No, she just didn't like it.
So using that as an opportunity, I mean, and that's going back to what you were saying before, having some of the older kids in play. Your daughter went in there, had her merit badges all over her, and if a youth sells to a youth, it's going to be believable. It's going to be more relatable in that particular case, and getting that going. Yeah.
Selling to their parents as well.
When that parent sees how respectful and how engaging and how put together that youth is, talking to another youth, but also having that conversation with them. It's like, this is what I've gotten out of scouting. This is what it's done for me. This is what it's done for my family. That's what hooks the parents. We can sell scouting to another kid, but when we make that connection with the parents, and when when my son would make that connection to another parent and convince them to come on board, that's where we close the deal.
It's funny that you say that, because that was a comment that was given.
Was a that whisper, that side eye of the parent. She's really good at this. I'm like, welcome to scouting. Like, there was nothing more I could say.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, getting contact info, right? That's the main goal. We mentioned this earlier. The point that we're trying to make today is we need to get contact information so that we all can work all of our prospect leads, right, in that area.
Usable contact information.
Yes, usable.
Okay,
Usable.
yeah, great.
Mm-hmm.
And what is usable? A first name, a last name, right, for the parent. A name for that child, probably. What grade that kid is in. If you're at an elementary school, then they all go to that school there. If you're at a community event, what school, where is that person from? Just because we're having something downtown San Antonio doesn't mean they don't live in Shirts, right? People can go anywhere. Phone numbers and emails are probably the two biggest ones you're going to want. And then who are we getting those from, right? Mom, probably. More than likely mom. We need those. And we keep saying mom versus dad because the studies have shown that mothers are the ones that put their kids and decide what their kids are going to be doing in scouting, right? If you can sell mom on scouts, she's going to sign her son up or daughter up in scouts. Dad is just looking for baseball and football. That's what he understands, right? If he was never in scouts before. Mom is willing to take those extra risks and say, hey, this sounds like a great program for my kids. I want to get them in it.
And, you were talking about your table and people having a hard time getting people to your table, having some interactive prizes, if it's possible. Do you have a prize that's going? We have a great prize that we're going to give away. We're going to give away, a backpack or whatever, and then that makes them, hey, you know what? I'm definitely going to go. Now make sure you give me legible information that's going on in here as well. And one thing else I wanted to add in there, we were talking about having the right person. Something just came to mind as well. Sometimes that right person loves to talk about scouting. You also got to make sure it's not the opposite end of that spectrum, versus the person who doesn't really like to talk to a whole lot of people. There are some people that really like to talk to people. And, and so is that one person, do you have that person that's going to sit there and talk to that one person for 30 minutes while everybody else is walking by? So you got to make sure that there is that balance that's in there. So just making sure you got the right people at the table. Table tip bonuses. I know we've got some special guests we want to get to, so I'm going to move a little faster on some of these aspects. But we were talking about making sure that you use balloons. Go vertical with it. If you'll notice our table back there, instead of being just a flat display over here, Jen did a great job of bringing it up so it catches your eye and brings it in, so you can see it from across the room instead of having to be right on top of the table. Using the tablets we talked about. And don't pick up early, because sometimes the best lead you get is that last person that walked in. He said, you know what, I've been waiting until the end of because I wanted to talk to you about it. I really would like to be a leader in your organization, and I've got 2 kids at home. It's like, oh man, I could have left 10 minutes ago, but man, I would have missed out on a new leader and 2 new kids out of that one. So make sure you stick around to the end.
And the other part of this too is whoever the organizer of your event is, if it's your PTA president, the principal, community event, whatever, they're going to see you staying late, and they'll probably just stop by and ask how it went, right? And so that'll help you develop a relationship with that person.
Okay. We want to bring in our older programs. You were talking about your older kids as well. I guarantee that when your young kids went out, brought those parents over to your table and saw some of the older kids in there also as part of that table. Well, hey, I didn't know this was it wasn't just for kids. I've got a 13-year-old at home too. Can they also join? Oh man, so make sure it's relevant. Make sure that we know the other programs that are out there. We got venture crews that are out there. We've got sea ships that are out there. We even have an exploring post that we're creating as well, and that we have on the ground. So make sure that we're bringing them all in as well. So now we're on to the second part, actually working those leads. Okay, we've got a big list of names. And we've collected them over the summer. We've collected them at the Meet the Teacher night. And so then it gets to the point is getting those leads enough information to make the decision to join your organization.
Yeah, and just because you have 100 names on a list doesn't mean you're going to have 100 new scouts, right? That 100 names is probably more like 60 to 80 actually interested people. And those 60 to 80 may become 20 to 30 people that actually sign up, right? Could even be 10, just depending where you're at, depending how much information. But within the first 24 hours, you want to send a personal thank you email. It's a quick check-in. Hey, it was great talking to you guys, talking to you yesterday. We'd love to see you at our next meeting. Text follow-up if mobile is given. We have a council SMS system. We'll let Jen talk about that when we're done here. And make sure you invite them to a specific event. We have our Meet the Teacher night. We know when that is. But don't worry, we're going to have our first meeting on August 28th at 6 p.m. at wherever you guys meet, right? We'll see you then.
Last thing you want to do is we'll see you sometime. My people get a hold of your people, type of thing. Follow-up strategies. You can't just hit them with an email or a phone call and be done with it. You have to keep following up with them. So it's kind of a 5-day rule: phone calls, emails, and that's and the text messages that we're talking about. We're going to help you get that contact out to them on a regular basis. And continue to invite them to things. So have things that are not, okay, so what, it was 2 weeks later and it's already past that 2 weeks and we're still trying to communicate. What's the next thing on your docket? Look ahead. This is going to be another great event to bring other outside parents to as well. And use a lead tracker. Keep track of what you're doing. Don't just say, okay, there's these names. I got them into, a group email and I'm going to send them random emails. Create this list that we're talking about. Here's day 1, here's day 5, here's week 2, and making sure I've checked off that I've did everything to get that going. This is where you really want to engage that person that was quiet, that wasn't necessarily the best person for behind the table, but they are the best person for tracking this type of stuff. they can sit there and set up those emails to go out. In fact, I'll bet you those types of the people that can sit there and have it already scheduled to go out before, and whether they're there or not. So I mean, it's those types of people. Everybody has their role in this. Just make sure you're getting the jobs done, right?
Yep. So then here's just a quick reminder over it. Starting the first email and text within 1 day, 3 to 5 days, another call, second email, the week 2 reminder, and then a final invite, right? If they haven't joined, then they may not join. You may want to keep them in the bucket, but you don't need to talk to them every single day, right? Because that's going to turn some people off. But a couple of reminders early, and then, hey, maybe like a once a month touch-up. Hey, we haven't seen you in a while. Love to invite you to our next PAC meeting. Hey, we haven't seen you guys in a while. We have a great Court of Honor coming up. Why don't you guys come check us out, right? And this could be 2 or 3 months down the road, and that person may come by, and that's another great time to recruit them.
And we've even gotten to the point in our council where it's not, okay, we're past this 4 or 5 week time frame, right? Don't throw away the name. You can end up, okay, you know what? Maybe just right now wasn't the best time. Maybe it's Christmas. Maybe it's January. Maybe it's in the spring when they're going into summer camp type of thing. So keep them in rotation type of thing. Just ease off of them a little bit, and they'll make their decision when it's right time for them as well. And then one thing you can do to help them bring it in is giving them that personal touch. So if they can realize that this is, hey, prospective scouts to PAC 1, 2, 3, right? They know you're talking to everybody, and there's nothing really personal about it. If you can add their name to it, give them a personal invite, and be flexible with those communications or those connections as well.
And if you have a bunch of names, maybe it's not just one person working leads, maybe it's multiple people, right? Maybe you say 5 or 10 leaders, or not even leaders, but just parents, and say, hey, could you call these 5 families and invite them to our next meeting?
And so if this is the 5-week touch point as well, you can go in there, hey, we just had a Pinewood Derby race. Your kid would have loved this. We would like to make sure that you're getting in for our Rain Gutter Regatta that's coming up, or for our Halloween.
Or our camp out.
Or our camp out, right?
Yep. And this, like we talked about earlier, if they find out, do they have older youth? Let's get some kids, bring them up to Troops Adventure Cruise, right? Just because someone has an 8-year-old doesn't mean they don't have a 12-year-old. So let's find out.
Mm-hmm. And I would say that this whole thinking beyond the PAC is circular as well, because I mean, as you go along, you're going to get more scouts. Cub Scouts are going to get more, getting into stronger packs, stronger troops, and as we go along, and it's going to continue to just cycle better. You're going to have your older scouts that are going to be able to help recruit back at some of your Cub Scout events, knowing that they were recruited in those types of events. So it really is kind of cyclical at that point.
Yep. And just to kind of leads on action. It's not just a list, right? We need to work our leads. Just because we have names on a piece of paper doesn't matter if we don't call them, we don't work those leads, right? So make sure we work on our leads.
Yeah, and making the ask, that's one of the biggest things right there. A lot of times we forget to even ask them. We sat there at the recruiting table and sat there and talked to them all day long, and then they walk off. We forgot to ask them to put their information down. That's like one of the first things I'll do. In fact, it's called an assumptive close in sales. A lot of times I'll sit there and a new person's going to be coming up to my table, and I'll say, here, fill this out. So let me tell you about the program. And so he's already knows what my goal is to have him fill that out. And then I'll tell him, and I'll have to convince him a little bit, but all I want is some information so we can invite you to the next fun thing that we're going to be doing. It's going to be happening in about 2 weeks or so. Can you give us just a little bit of information, and we'll let you get you on your way. All right. I mean, it's really all we got to do. And if you've got your table up, your table can say a lot of the words that you don't necessarily have to say. So,
yep. And then lastly, be proud of scouting. Hey, you guys are leaders in your pack because your kids are in the pack. You guys were scouts as kids, whatever it is. You know the great things scouting does. So let's tell people what great things, awesome things scouting does for everybody.
So, yep. And with that, you've got our contact information out here. We're here to support you on this journey along the way. But what we want to do right now is introduce you to some folks who have been successful at what they've been able to do. They've got some great stories over here. So we want to kind of let them engage in this conversation as well. So with that, would you mind just go ahead and introduce yourself and what pack you're in?
My name is Brandon Compton with PAC 152. I am the assistant Cub Master.
I'm Emma Griffin with PAC 152, and I'm the Cub Master.
Scott Sigsby, PAC 501. I'm the committee chair.
Okay, great. Well, we can hand that microphone back that way. Really, we wanted to bring these guys up because they had a great year last year of recruitments. And I think both units, you guys started out pretty small, right? But then had a plan and worked it. So I guess starting with Scott, you want to talk about maybe the relationship you guys have with Wilderness Oaks Elementary, where you guys meet, and then how that's kind of helped your pack grow?
So when I took over the pack last year, we were down to 14 scouts in our pack. Most of my dens were decimated. We had no scouts in 3 of my dens. Worked hard with AJ and with Ted last year to kind of get recruiting going as I was taking over the pack. The relationship I had with our school, though, was very good. My wife and I spent a lot of time there on like Fridays working with our son and daughter's class. So I got to know the administration, the front end ladies, real good, so that I can then work with them as we're doing our recruiting events, or they're having school events. I can get in there so that we can then talk with our parents. Also, being involved with the PTA helped us a lot too, because the PTA puts on a lot of events. So I'd work with the PTA president and vice president to be part of those different things that the PTA was putting on, having the table there, talking with parents, talking with scouts, and getting them excited about the program.
And how big did your pack grow? Where'd you guys start? Where'd you end?
We started with 14 in August last year. We ended at about 30 scouts. So we picked up almost 15 scouts throughout the year. Most of them were in that September and November timeframe, as we were just kicking off the recruiting aspects of things. And then we did also pick up a couple later on in the year as well, and added them to our dens.
And then could you tell everybody about your relationship with the school and the PTA and how that helped with communication and stuff going forward?
Sure. Getting involved with the PTA, that's a direct line to the parents a lot of time. If you're there at the meetings, you're able to talk with parents, talk to them about the program. Having the backing also by the PTA president or the PTA leadership also helps as well. Because again, you get invited to the different events that are going on. I'd get an email stating, we're having a holiday event. Do you guys want to set up a booth so you can talk with parents and talk with the prospective scouts? I said, sure. So we'd go and do that, and pick up 1 or 2, So it's, again, having that real good relationship. When I was working with the front end staff at the school, one of the front end administrators, we were trying to get an event set up. They have the ability to do additional bursting, so they can actually send through their connections, through their SMS applications, text messages. You can get into the school weekly newsletter, which we call S'mores at Wilderness Oak. Get into the S'mores newsletter every week. Hey, the scouts are having a such and such event. Come on out, meet the pack. That type of thing. It helped boost that flow of new potential families coming into our pack.
Okay, great. Well, tell us a little bit about your story. I mean, I'm sure it's somewhat similar, but every story is different. So give us a little bit of information on what you guys were able to say.
So we had about 28 scouts last year that ranked up with us, and we're planning on coming back. For Meet the Teacher, one of the things we made sure to do was we had some flyers that Lewis helped us put together that had a QR code to our website and a QR code to Be a Scout. We also had the forms for them to write on, but we made sure to have a QR code so that they were able to type their information as well. And that way we were able to read it for sure and weren't transposing numbers when we were typing it in later. By having printouts that they were able to go back over when they got home, I think that helped us increase a lot. We had a Back to the Pack event as our first event of the year where the kids kind of got pushed over this way and we're doing rocket launching and different crafts and things while parents had time to walk around and learn more about what do we do for youth protection? What do we do for the medical forms? What do we do for different volunteer activities that they could get involved in? I feel like that event, where it was still very focused on getting parents information while kids were able to be pulled off to the side to have fun, was really successful in having people start returning to our pack meetings. Like I said, we started with 28 returning scouts at the beginning of the year, and I think the highest our roster got to was 65. we had 53 actually rank up at the end of the year. So pretty good retention there.
And then did you guys have any follow-up, communication through the fall? How did that work?
Yeah, so we had the text message, SMS chains that council was sending out. We worked with Jen to get all of our phone numbers by school onto the list. We have 4 schools that we mainly service, and I feel like we had a really good response to the text messages of people actually remembering, like, oh, we have a meeting tomorrow, come on out, Also made sure to send follow-up emails anytime that we got something through the, what's it called? Not the application manager, the invitation manager. I have just a form email that I send with, I got your contact information from whether it's beascout.org or one of the other parents who gave me an email address. Our next meeting is at Anne Frank on this day at this time. Here's the things that we do. I talk a lot about how on Monday nights we go through the curriculum that's all about citizenship and physical fitness and nutrition and just being a good person. And then we do all these activities not on our Monday night meetings where we go camping and fishing and hiking and biking and whole laundry list of things that this guy coordinates. So is there,
cool.
That's what I got.
The biggest thing I would add to all of that is whenever we do have tables set up at Meet the Teacher, have multiple people there, one person to interact with the parents and one person to interact with the children. Because if the parents are talking to somebody and getting information, the kids are going to be bored and pull the parents away. Or if you're talking to the kids, the parents are going to be bored, start pulling the kids away. So having interactions with both of them helps a lot. Keep everybody active and involved and get excited about the program.
How do you do that? What kind of interactions do you have with the kids while you're at the table?
So the tables that Emma and I worked last year, she was talking to the parents because I don't like parents. The kids are a lot more fun. So she would give all the information about the logistics of when we meet, how much it costs, things like that. And with the kids, I would just try to have a conversation about it. What kind of things do they like to do? What do they do for fun? Do they like the idea of archery and camping and hiking, and figure out what they do like and then tell them what we do that's similar to what it is that they are interested in.
I think that's a real and critical aspect about it, because Lewis and I have had that same thing with some of our community events that we've had to go. You'd have kids that are there and they'd want us to do some sort of interaction. So you want to have if you do have to have an interaction type of thing, or if you want to, a good one that we've used is actually a Kim's game. So if you want to look it up online, you can get all kinds of information. It's Kim's game. It's a memory game. And I'll use that towel that's back on that table and a lot of those items that are back on that table, and I'll fold it in half, put all the items on that table, and then you fold the towel back over it, and then you lift it up and say, hey, look, you got 10 seconds or 20 seconds to memorize what's down on it. And then they put it down and who did it. We have some little hard candies or some dum-dums. I like to use dum-dums because nobody's going to swallow a dum-dum. And then you hand out just a piece of candy to them. This is all happening while I'm over here talking to mom and dad, trying to get them to realize the importance of scouting. And that gives me a little bit more of a deeper dive into getting them hooked into the program. So that's great. You guys are doing awesome.
There is one other thing we have for our presentation. We have a trifold that we set up, and we use pictures from the previous year of kids from that school specifically. So because we service 4 different schools, if Wonky Elementary will have just pictures of those kids, so the other kids in the school see their friends doing this stuff specifically, as opposed to generic stock photos that you might see pulled it off the brand management site.
Great job.
I know one of the things that I used a lot at my tables, especially like at back to school, or there was one event we did that had multiple packs there, is using kind of in line with Pinewood Derby, but it's Lego Derby. We actually do a Lego Derby race using our Pinewood Derby track for the Scouts to do, usually in about November. But I would actually bring out some of the bases and a bunch of pieces, and then we had a little bit of the track, so to speak, so the kids can get in there, build what they want to build, and then they were racing each other, keeping them occupied while I was talking with the parents. So again, if the child is occupied and happy, gives you more time with those parents to talk to them about the program, and then they then see that their young one is, what kid doesn't like Legos? is playing with this, is learning how to build things. Oh, this is something my son or daughter is going to learn in the Scout program. They see the I can't think of the word I want to use. Some of the different skills that they're going to actually pick up and be able to do with their dens or with their pack. So it definitely helps.
A lot of times what I'll end up doing is when I'm talking to the parents, I realize you realize you got to sell two different products but it's basically the same product to do different demographics. The kids want to know about the fun. And then the parents want to know what's in it for me type of thing. And a lot of times I'll use Baden Powell's words. This is fun with a purpose. They're seeing a car that they can race with their friends. They can build a car. They're going to have a blast. But what they're doing is they're learning a little bit about engineering, because if the wheels are like on my car, where they're all willy wonky like this, it's not going to go down the track very nicely, is it? And they're going to learn that lesson. They're going to learn how to use tools. They're going to learn how to be safe around tools. They're going to learn how good sportsmanship, because there's only going to be one leader in there. It's fun, but it's fun with a purpose, and that's what we're treating. That's where it appeals to me as a dad to my son, and then kind of relate with them on that. I know you're wanting that with your kid because I wanted it with my kid. Great job. And I think,
thank you guys.
we want to thank you guys. Was there anything you guys wanted to add before we wrap this up? Because we got to get a couple other things in real quick. Awesome. I think you were wanting to talk a little bit about the SMS program. Is that correct? You want to come up and
thank you guys.
Thank you guys so much. We appreciate you guys.
Before I turn it over to our Scout executive, just a couple things that I wanted to kind of close this out with some notes. In terms of as we're recruiting and as we're working membership, obviously we really try to focus on our units. But remember, the goal is to get our youth in scouting. It may be with your unit, it may be with another unit. So I'd encourage you, as you're holding your recruiting nights, find out, look at beascout.org and see what other units that are in your neighborhood. And be prepared, because you know what? If a family comes up to your table and unfortunately they can't make your Tuesday meeting night, but there's a pack just down the road that meets on Wednesday nights, please, from a membership standpoint, get them connected with that unit. Get that kid in scouting. Right now, we currently serve about 1.5% of the market share. That's 1.5% of the scouts that are eligible. Again, I am the membership chair. These 1.5% of the scouts in San Antonio that are youth that are eligible to be in scouting are in scouting. Okay, so it's not a competition. It really isn't. So help me and help us. Let's get those units. And if you're in one of those situations where you're a pack and you're sharing a pack with another school, you're sharing a school with another pack. Get to know those unit leaders. Work together. I can tell you, when I was Scoutmaster at Troop 911, I had a very good relationship with the 4 Scoutmasters within 5 miles of my unit. I knew them by name. We had each other's phone number. We all met on different nights. Our troops were different. My troop was loud and large. Okay, we had 70 scouts at one point. That's not for everybody, and I know that. 518 down the street was about 20 scouts, very quiet, smaller on the size. If our troop was too much for something, hey, go out and check out this other troop. Go check out this other pack. Because again, at the end of the day, we want these kids in scouting. If we had more kids in scouting, we'd have a better place. So that's the first thing. I want you to work together. 2, build a solid program. Again, making sure these adventure boxes are going to go a long way to building a solid program, because they're going to make it easier on the leaders. That's the goal. If we can make it easier on the leaders to deliver a quality program, man, that's going to help. 3rd, invite a friend. If every family in this council brought one person into scouting, we'd probably increase our numbers by about 1/3. If every scout in our council brought a friend, then we would double our numbers, and we would hit our goal of having 10,000 scouts overnight. So the units and the councils that are seeing significant growth across the nation, it is that grassroots. Invite a friend. You all join scouting for a reason. You see the importance. You understand what's important. Tell your story. I'll tell you my story. I share my story all the time. I got a 23-year-old Eagle Scout at home. Okay. And I really didn't get it until about 2.5, 3 years ago, when I was downstairs getting ready to go to bed one night, and he's upstairs, doing what 21-year-olds do at night, gaming online. And he's talking to a friend, and he's offering some advice, and I can kind of overhear the advice. And it's clear the advice is Scout related. And then I hear him say, "Oh yeah, well, this is one of the things I learned in Scout, and I also learned this, this, and this." This is a 20-year-old at the time, unapologetic young man. I don't know who he's talking to online, who's sharing, "Hey, I learned this skill in scouting, and I'm not ashamed to share it and apply that skill." And for me, that's now I'm all weepy going to bed, and wives want to know what's wrong, and it's like nothing. But and then again, Russell over here crushing it life. Russell and I remember him when he was just a young scout coming through my NYLT course. So just a wee lad. But tell your story. Invite a friend. Encourage them to come. That's really the easiest way to increase our membership, is selling this program because it's so awesome. And then finally, I want to invite you to be part of the membership committee.
It's so much fun.
It is so much fun. So the membership committee meets every third Monday of the month. We typically rotate in-person meetings and on Zoom. I have business cards up here. You can come by and get one. I'd invite you to come out and check out a meeting. Our next meeting will be in August, and we will probably do that meeting in person. Again, like I said, I try to rotate in person and Zoom because I understand some folks come in. But I encourage you to come by. Either you'd come by and see what our membership committee meeting's about, or if you have a unit membership chair, somebody in your unit specifically doing membership, please have them reach out to me. I'd love to establish that relationship with them because, again, I get information such as, hey, we're going to start texting you to remind you that you're going to you need to renew. I get that type of information through the volunteers at National. So love to have you part of my committee. Want to make that committee grow. And finally, again, thank you for being here. Like I said, membership starts at the unit level. It is grassroots. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Ryan Harris to say some closing words.
Closing words. Got that. You all got that. All right, fantastic. Since Scott already took all of my topics that I was going to talk about, which is fantastic and great alignment to what we're trying to do, I just want to take the time to thank AJ, Lewis, Jen, CY, Vivian is back there. Thank you to the staff, but more importantly, thank you for the staff and the volunteers all coming together, put on this event this morning. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your enthusiasm and your energy that you're bringing, that you're delivering to the scouts, to the youth in your units. This is a vital time for us. We have to grow membership. We need to grow membership. We want to be able to deliver this program to a lot more kids than we are today, and a lot more adults than we are today. Because I can tell you, as a volunteer that I was before about 7 days ago, I have created lifelong friends. My best friends are in scouting, and I would not have met them if we weren't in scouting together and in this together. So it's a vital program for us. It's a vital program for the community. It's a vital program for all of our youth. And I just want to say thank you to everybody that was here and involved in putting on the program this morning, and appreciate the alignment. So go get your boxes.
Thanks, everybody.